to do a re-upload of the video I did yesterday, or the live that I did yesterday, regarding the nurse's responsibility in Kevin Samuel's death. Well, not actually her role, but since she was there and she admitted that she was a nurse, the legal responsibilities and the protocol that should be followed when you jump into a Good Samaritan position, the pros and the cons. Yesterday, when I did the live, I was speaking as everybody was a medical professional, and of course, they are not. So I just wanted to add a little context to that live. So give me a second, and I'll share my screen. And during the stream, I will be adding videos and articles and anything I can to kind of make it clear what you are facing if you take on such a strong responsibility. And as a medical professional, if you decide that you want to act as such, you have to get in that role. Now, sometimes you will have immunity, but there are other times when you may not. We are living in a legal world. We have technology everywhere, cameras everywhere, and this is a sue-ready world. So you have to just be careful. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's get into it. The disclaimer, fair use, and then also from permission from the Tennessee Nursing Board that it is okay to use any public information regarding any medical situation, long as we have not handled the patient ourselves and it is already duly in the on the news and the media, which it is. I'm just going to get right into it. One of the big parts of this whole thing is that the nurse said that they were doing whatever and he fell on top of me. Have you ever treated a patient who has come into the ER or any medical situation that you know of and has said, I'm having chest pain, from doing the act?
On top of me.
Oh, I did have two patients that were cardiac arrest that had died during sexual intercourse. So it's not, it's rare, but I've had two experiences in I would say 9 years of being in healthcare.
I've been dead set on it that this is not going to happen. This is not true. And it's not. It's not. Nobody has had that besides on the movie Color Purple. I said that you can't. I have never seen it. I have never seen it. And when I did the research, it said that it was under 1%. But if you have seen it yourself in your career, then I guess that's legitimate.
Yeah.
So, and then they're saying the other issue is too with Viagra and Red Bull, which y'all know that I will drink 1,000 energy drinks.
Right.
But I don't. But we still can't diagnose, and that's not even why we're here. So we could just really stay away from that whole thing, because nobody knows what really happened, in that situation. But we're just really trying to focus on the nurse issue, and if you should keep on. Hey, Celine, if you should keep on walking, or can y'all see those comments there?
Mm-hmm.
If you should keep on walking, or if you would help. Here's a copy of the Tennessee Good Samaritan law. And basically it says that it will cover anybody, medical professional or not, who tries to act as a good person and render medical aid to someone, as long as you are not charging them for it. But what you have to pay attention to is this small line here: except such damages as may result from the gross negligence of the person rendering such emergency care. Read that again. Except such damages as may result from the gross negligence of the person rendering such emergency care. I'm going to leave that there for you to read for just a second. be very careful with this law. And I don't know, some people they have trashed her completely. And they said that she was a fake nurse, and she's not, because I looked it up. She's a real nurse. The only thing is she's a baby nurse. She's only been around for like a year or two.
So
So
what's the story? Because I don't know the story.
Well, let me show you. So, you know what? That's one reason that I got you on, because I know that you wouldn't you wouldn't know anything. Okay, so it's this guy. He's a public figure, and he's a very controversial. How you say the word controversial?
He's a controversial public figure because he's had a lot of negative things to say about women, and particularly women of color. And he's been pretty dead set on his negative speaking for a long time. So he's very solid in how he thinks. He's got he's, in my opinion only, very misogynistic and just kind of like really out there with what he has to say. But he's had a large platform, and he's used it to verbalize how he feels about women, and he has used no filter and done it for a long time.
I've never supported him. I've never watched any of his streams, so I don't want it to be. I feel just like how Phoenix feels. So I never listened to him, but a lot of people they love him. You know, a lot of women love him. A lot of guys do too. But what happened to him is, he doesn't really. He wouldn't date a black woman, I don't think. So he has I think she would be Spanish, Mexican, Hispanic, but this girl is a nurse. So the reports are saying that he met her the night before, and then the next day they did whatever they did, and then he fell on top of me, right? So now she's in this whole situation. So she calls EMS. I got the audio. I'm gonna let you hear it. She calls EMS or whatever, and it didn't go good. He died. So now it's like, with how they have drug her. They say that she's a fake nurse. They said that she didn't know. She's no real nurse, but she really is. I mean, they have dogged her. You know, he's a public figure. So now, would you have done the same thing? To me, I would have, like I always say, if it's not a family member, and I know we don't have a duty. It's ethical for us to help someone, but if you're going to get dragged that way, what would you do? So let me see if I can bring Lauren up to date. Hold on. Yeah, bear with me. Let me see how I do this. Can you see it now?
Yes. I see. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. This is from Ringo TV. I'm gonna go up.
Now, these are my personal beliefs. I believe that the woman that was with Kevin Samuels need to be held accountable for basically failing to save Kevin Samuels' life. I believe that she need to be brought up on charges, prosecuted for murder, because she failed to follow proper instructions. She failed to perform what is alleged to be her duties as a nurse. This woman, who is being protected, publicly stated on a phone call that is a public record that she is a nurse. By her admission, privacy is over. How I'm doing so far, Mr. Attorney? See, I'm anointed by the Most High Yah, which means he can give me the spirit of an attorney. That woman is not private anymore because she made it clear that she is a nurse. Now that's public record. Why did she say that? I don't know why, but we're going to get into that a little later on because I got a lot to talk about. We're going to break this thing down. This is a court case. And you're on trial because you're supposed to be his friend, remember? You took that responsibility. The 911 call, it shares a lot of information. And the reason why I believe that this particular woman needs to be charged with murder is based on the evidence at hand, because as a nurse, as an alleged nurse, she failed to do what she needed to do. The so-called phone call was about 16 minutes long. 16 minutes. Which means she neglected to perform not only CPR, because based on that recording, that woman was not performing CPR. No, she wasn't. It got so bad,
cardiac arrest,
that the
push hard,
operator
push fast, provide
in
compressions
their
at a rate of
training
at least 100
recognized that
compressions per minute,
there's a
and at a
possibility
depth of
that
at
she
least
don't
2
know
inches
how
or
to
5
perform
centimeters for
CPR.
adults.
They had to try to
Allow
instruct her
complete
on how
chest
to do
recoil
it.
after each compression within 10 seconds of recognition
Do you understand?
of cardiac arrest. Early CPR keeps the oxygen and blood flowing to the heart and brain, creating valuable life-saving time until spontaneous circulation is restored.
Take a deep breath, and what's the address that you're at?
I'm not sure. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm not sure I can see this. Oh my God. Hold on.
Okay.
You need to come to. It's the residence. It's Please just come past. It's Kevin Samuel. You need to come.
Ma'am, take a deep breath. 731. What is the street name?
It is 297 East Paces Ferry Road, Northeast.
Okay, is this a house or apartment?
Oh my God, I fucking know. It's Kevin Samuel's
You don't
apartment.
know if it's a house or apartment?
Oh, it's an apartment.
Okay, what's the apartment number?
No, I just need to give him CPR. Just please, just ask for
You need an ambulance?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, listen, hold on. Let me connect you with the ambulance. Do not hang up.
Are you listening?
Hold on, ma'am. I have to connect you with the ambulance.
It's Kevin fucking Samuel.
I understand, but I have to connect you with the ambulance.
Are you okay?
EMS with the address of your emergency.
Hey, buddy, so Atlanta is going to be 297 East Paces Ferry Road, Northeast.
Hello, ma'am. Is this a house, apartment, or a business?
It's an apartment. Please, it's the resident.
What's the apartment number?
I don't know. I just asked a friend, Kevin Samuel. It's up and I think, I'm not sure what it is, but just, he's not breathing. I'm trying to give him CPR. He's breathing now, but I think he has a regular rhythm. Please, hurry. I'm a nurse, but I'm trying to CPR.
Thank you. We didn't know exactly what apartment number to go to.
I don't know, but it's the front desk.
What's that phone number you're calling us from, ma'am? Is he awake?
No, he has an irregular rhythm. I can feel it. He's breathing in and out, but he has an irregular rhythm. It's probably his heart. So I need you to get here with the fucking.
I'm operator 936. This requesting fire and PD for a 9 Echo 1. 9 Echo 1.
Hurry, he's carrying a blue.
Okay. I'm 7, man, hold on. I'm 7910.
Oh my God.
Okay, ma'am, we have help en route, we have fire and EMS around, but we didn't know that apartment number, ma'am. It'll take longer if we have to ask the front desk, ma'am. We need to know what
I'm
apartment
not
number
gonna
you're
stop
in.
giving. You just ask the front desk. I'm not gonna stop giving him CPR. Just ask the front fucking desk.
So, man, that's gonna delay response if we're trying to ask you exactly where he is. We don't know. Have you called the front desk at least?
No, I called you. Man, take a deep breath. I am taking a deep breath. I'm a fucking nurse. Okay, ma'am, calm down. And could you go to the front door and look at the door number? No, because then I'm stopping to give him CPR. He needs it. Come on, it's okay. Come on.
Would a nurse be so nervous?
I just paused it right there. Can you see
Right.
how already that they're doing, you know? And then I watched this whole thing and he did a really good job. But the thing is, who wants to be judged like that if that was you?
Well, yeah, because here's the thing, like, to go round about it, like, I think that people forget that nurses are still very human and that nursing profession is on a spectrum. They've said too that I guess that she was like a sex worker as in addition to, which I think deserves respect in its own way, because I believe that sex work is still legitimate work, which I'm sure is controversial, but you know, it provides a service as long as people pay for it. And I actually feel bad for the girl, or young lady, because anybody in that position is going to be afraid to call in if you're involved with anybody, and then let alone if it's a public figure. And we don't have his toxicology report back. None of that is important, because I feel like we as nurses, we give aid to anybody that comes through the door. We do our very best with the circumstances that we're given. And we don't know what somebody's prior history is, and you know, none of that. And let's say that, you know, someone is doing something right in front of us. We're not responsible for what people do with their bodies. We're just responsible for the care that we give. And it's hard to administer care in the best of circumstances. And I feel like in this situation, like, she called EMS and she did the very best that she could, but it is hard for people like to be drugged through the mud. Like, nurses are drugged through the mud. Women are drugged through the mud. And I think this is a situation where she just kind of got caught up in a situation that was going to go bad no matter what it was, no matter who it was, because people want someone to be responsible when someone loses their life, period.
Well, the only people, I guess the people or his friends, I think that they have said, from, you know, you can't really trust the internet, but they have, like, they're probably saying the same thing that you have. But when you go, you know, I can be very you know how I nurse.
Yeah.
So I could be very I don't even know what to say. I could critique you all day, because that's just how I would. So when I listen to the call, and I hate to do somebody like that is, you know, a fellow nurse, and I listen to the call, and I listen and I listen and I listen, but it doesn't seem like it's not on point to me. But then I have to go back, and then now from what you're saying, like, try to give somebody grace. But the first thing that I would do in a situation like that, well, because I'm always going to be thinking legally, you know, and by somebody being new, they may not think that. My first thing is
Exactly. That's
I need help.
the preface to that, I think, is a really important thing to bring up, is that you have years of experience, and this is not something that's taught in school to new nurses, me being one of them, that people are happy to sue you and that you must protect yourself legally from the get-go. This is not something that is expressed to new nurses. This is something that you have learned, you know, professionally, like, or you probably have seen other people kind of go through it. And that's probably something that she didn't know what to do. And again, you know, we don't know the circumstances or whatever, but New nurses do not know, like they in school, I promise you, they're still teaching nurses that they are out here to do God's work and that they are changing the world and that they're going to have the support of everybody and the law is going to be on their side. And if they just do the right thing, then they'll be okay. They have no idea that the system is against them from the beginning. And that if you mess up, people will pick you apart.
That's exactly when I called the nursing board. That's exactly what she was like. Well, you do not have a duty. You don't. You can always hide your badge. And I said, well, that's why when I go to Walmart or Publix, I'm never going to have a badge on. I will pull my coat off. Nothing. You're not going to know.
Same, but seasoned
But they
nurses
say you're
have
supposed
taught me to do that.
She's like, but your ethics and your morals as a nursing profession, this is what you do. I said, well, okay, I understand. I said, but however, and then I told her about this situation because I needed to be clear before I said anything about it because, legally. So he was like, well, you don't know what happened, but however, let's just say if she had a drink the night before, and now you did this, even if you did all that good work, you could still be liable. You know what I mean? So that whole Good Samaritan thing is out the door, even if you were being a good person. Or, now, even I know that you said that being a sex worker, that is something that, that you respect, but you can't do that and be a nurse. So now all of that is out. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just so many different things to like.
Who disclosed that she was a medical professional in the first place?
She did. Listen.
To live? Because she wasn't giving them no information. The dispatch is saying, look, I need the information. It's going to delay emergency crews from getting there. Up to now, she didn't give them the information that's needed. Let's go.
You called the front desk, Ellie?
No, I called you. Man, take a deep breath. I am taking a deep breath. I'm a fucking nurse. Okay, ma'am.
She said she is taking a deep breath because she's an effing nurse. That's what she said, fam. She said she did take a deep breath because
I just need to give him CPR, please.
She didn't give him no CPR because she don't know CPR. Clearly, a nurse would know CPR. She don't know what she's doing. She's too nervous. Listen to the so-called woman on the phone. She's calm, cool, and collected because you're trained to be calm, cool, and collected. But that woman, it says in the police report that she is a nurse. A nurse would have training, and she would know how to be calm. Let's go.
Yes. Okay. Are you listening? Hold on, ma'am. I have to connect you with the ambulance. It's Kevin fucking Samuel. I understand, but I have to connect you with the ambulance. Are you okay?
Is he awake?
No, he's in a regular rhythm. I can feel it. He's breathing in and out, but he has a regular rhythm. It's probably his heart. So he needs to be in here with him. Come on, Kevin, you got it. Come on, just try to breathe. Come on, you got it. Come on, think about your mom. Think about your daughter.
Why would she say, think about your mom, think about your daughter?
So, I have a thing. We don't know what kind of nurse she was. What if she was working at a medical office? Unless you are in the ER, you are not prepared for sudden changes of condition like that. And you are not trained necessarily intensely for changes of conditions, especially if you're in a medical office. And I have worked at a medical office before, and when somebody goes out or has a severe decline, they freak out, and they're nurses. And they work there for years. But also, unless you are trained in the emergency profession or in an ICU specialty, I don't think people realize, you have a nurse and you have credentials behind your name, but what kind of nurse are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, there is a huge difference between a office nurse and an ER nurse.
Even a med surge nurse, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in no way am I shaming med surge nurses. That is the core of our nursing skill set.
Mm-hmm.
But I have been a part of like a rapid response team and have had to run codes in certain
Mm-hmm.
hospitals. And I have watched nurses with more experience than me stand there and not even know how to crack the code card.
And the other thing too is like, not only is it like the type of nursing is she, the other thing is what was it? When you're experiencing trauma, like if she was a friend, or I don't really know the whole situation still with their relationship. If my father had a cardiac event in front of me, yes, I've been a nurse for years. That is my father. I feel like I would almost kind of be deer in the headlights for a second until that emergency nurse pops back into me. But when it's a loved one, it is completely different than a patient. You know what I'm saying? Like it hits differently, and when you experience trauma, you black out, you don't register things properly, and that's probably why she's like, I don't know if it's a house or an apartment, because it's a trauma response, and people don't understand how you're going to respond in a traumatic event until you're in a traumatic event, and you can't project what you would do because you don't know what you would do.
Right. Again, going back to the beginning where I said that I think people forget that nurses are human. Like they really do forget that, and that we can have lapses in judgment, that we can be just like what you said, like a traumatic response can trigger us. We've all been in that horrible code that we can never let go of. And again, based on this, without having all this, the details of the situation, I think it's really harsh to judge the person in question. We have no circumstances whatsoever. We don't know anything about what's been going on, what they were doing, how long they were being involved, the circumstances of their involvement. Like we have no idea.
Okay, but still, and I do know, y'all know my background is complete trauma. You know, that's all.
Right.
I can't separate it. But in that situation, I can't say what I'll do, but I can say some things. I know that if I need help, EMS, they got to find me. They got to find me, because I'm going to be that scared that I'm going to knock on somebody's door. I'm opening up. I'm hollering. I'm doing whatever I can to get me more assistance because I'm scared. Now I hear her crying, and y'all know I can be critical, so y'all have to stop me. But I'm going to get help. I just want help to help me help you, or get myself in the situation, out the situation. But because I know that if I can't perform like I know I would, like if we have all, the doctors, we have all the equipment, we have the team. If we're in an ER situation, we have help. If I know that I was by myself and I couldn't do it, I'm going to get help, and I'm definitely not going to tell the world that I'm a nurse because of what's coming back. You know what I mean? Because
would you agree then that she panicked? There was no need for her to tell them that she was a nurse. It literally sounds like she is. I think she panicked. I think she panicked. And I think it's because what they tell you is that nurses are trustworthy and they're this and they're that. And like, that's probably what was going on in her mind. Like, I'm a nurse, I should be able to help, but I can't. And again, without having the circumstances to the situation, like let's say that she was a sex worker. Everybody uses sex workers. Nobody respects them and nobody protects them. You know what I'm saying? So again, without having the circumstances, and then being clear if anybody was drinking, if there were any drugs were involved, how old she is, should she have been in that situation, was he involved with anybody else? She was probably terrified. And I don't know about y'all's experience, but I know about mine, like, dating and finally deciding to be like intimate with somebody. Like, you enter into whatever world they have projected to you, which sometimes could be a lie. So you end up in these situations where you're just like, oh shit. And like, you don't know how you should protect yourself. Like, I know a lot of people that have no idea that they should be protecting themselves as nurses. Like, for instance, like you come out of school and you want to help people. You don't know that your first course of action should be to get liability insurance. Because if something happens, you're not going to be protected, even in a hospital setting.
No, they're definitely not going to teach that. But I mean, it's a lesson. It's a lesson for everybody, to all nurses to know, and it just still, I wonder, is this situation with her really going to be, I know it's all over the Black news. I know, Lauren, you wouldn't know because you don't do this kind of stuff. You don't listen to this kind of thing. But
I was
like,
gonna say, I
all
don't
the
know
Black
who
nurses,
Kevin Samuels is, so I'm like, who's this guy?
like, would you?
But you know what? It's good. It's good that she doesn't know who he is,
Yeah.
because then she can give like an unbiased opinion. Like, I don't like the guy, but I feel
Yeah,
like
they're
I said, I feel
they're
very
gonna pin
passionate.
it on her.
Right. I feel passionate about new nurses that don't know to protect themselves. I feel passionate about sex workers not being protected. I feel passionate about people being anti-women, and I think people are like let's say we don't have the toxicology report. I say that again, right? But when it comes out, and let's say that there were drugs in his system, or had he been using Viagra, or did he have a medical background that we're unaware of that would absolve the young lady from all of this, other than her nervousness? Like, she will forever be branded by this.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you think about it, when you're in the hospital setting, or even like in an office setting, like, you have equipment, you have EKG machines, you have IVs, you have stethoscopes, you have pulse oxes, you have blood pressure cuffs, you have all of that at your fingertips. And when you're home, and unless you have like a bag that, like, I mean, my husband and I are weird and we have those bags, but like, unless you have those bags and have it ready, like, you just have your ears and your hands and your brain. Like, you don't have equipment, And so, like, that is a completely helpless feeling, to try to render medical care when we're so taught to use tools. And when you don't have those tools, you feel like you can't do anything in the moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know, I get everything that y'all saying, and I know that it sounds good. We're supposed to have a heart, but they're not going to judge her like that. Now it's seeming like they're putting everything besides, his friends or whatever. If something was to come back in the report, or however, people are wanting to put it on her. People are wanting to, saying that she didn't do CPR. And
well,
then when
she
I
said he
hear,
was breathing.
Agree. Yes.
He was breathing.
Yes.
She said it's irregular breathing. I'm assuming like
she said irregular pulse.
stoked breathing almost.
She said irregular pulse. Did you hear him breathing?
I heard breathing.
No, she did say that he was breathing too.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me listen. Hold on.
Okay.
Is he awake?
No, he has an irregular rhythm. I can feel it. He's breathing in and out, but he has an irregular rhythm. It's pumping his heart. So he's gonna get here with the fucking.
I'm afraid of night.
Because if he's breathing,
there's no need for
Why would
CPR.
a woman that he just
Bring him an ambulance? Yeah. Okay.
She says she needs to give him CPR. Why would a nurse not know how to do CPR? Can't you see? Can't you see? This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Yo, Kevin sent home after a woman just died and you were in the same room with her. There's no way you're going to be able to go home. I would not be able to go home if that was me.
That's not true.
If I was with a female and she died,
he looks
and I'm
older.
on
Is he
call,
older?
He's
not
57.
Gonna be able to just go home after that. They're gonna want to know. They're gonna want to ask me questions.
That's when cardiac
my
stuff
face,
really
my
starts
picture.
speaking.
Something is gonna be taken. There's no way they would.
But the thing is, Lauren, he was just on the live. It's crazy.
Possible crime.
It's just like the worst
There is
situation
no way
you
I would-
don't want
I
to
would
be
just go
in.
free.
Right.
So
Well, I
how
mean,
is
how
it
many
that a
times have
woman
you
is
been
able
watching
to
a patient for
spend the
hours,
night
and all
with
of
a
a
man
sudden they just
in
turn
whom she
gray,
just met,
Decline,
and
and
then
the
boom,
police,
code. I mean, I've seen
anybody
that happen so many
investigating?
times too.
No.
Where are we at? Let me try to find us. That's true. Am I back? Y'all, I'm struggle streaming. I don't know how to work it. Am I back? Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, okay. So the thing is, I'm not gonna play the whole thing. I'll upload it. But okay, so was the first video. So the whole video was like 14 minutes long when the full police 911 call came out. So it took her like, I say 8 minutes to tell them where to come. So the first one we're hearing, like I was on, yes, I was in the comments, and I'm trying to, just like what y'all are saying, like my heart. But when they played the full 911 call, it was like, why are you stalling these damn people? Tell them where you at. Get help. Because I'm thinking, help yourself, help them. But it could have just been a panic.
I think
And
she panicked.
She probably doesn't know where she was.
You think so? That could have been something. So if that was the case, still, that's going to get you in trouble again, because the night before you shouldn't have been going. That's like a police officer using a gun. You can't do that. You can't just start doing nurse stuff instead of the EMS. See, that it's going to come back because you didn't. They kept asking her for the address. She wouldn't give it to them. Well, she knew the address, but she didn't know if she was the house or apartment. So clearly she probably, they probably had fun the night before or whatever. So,
right.
But then you gave EMS, you're like, I'm a nurse. So as soon as you say that, it doesn't matter how we feel. It's time for you to go to work, right?
What time was this 911 call? Was this in the morning?
Like 6 a.m, I think.
Mm.
She from the police report, he complained of chest pain, and then he fell on top of her basically.
And they were doing the
she
dirty.
didn't say that, but you can assume, So
I mean, I'm not waking up at 6 a.m. to do the dirty with my husband. So either they were up all night, or I don't know. I mean, if people wake up that early and do it, then that's different. But personally, I do not do that.
Or maybe they just, like I said, we are missing so many details from the situation, and we can never hold people to the same type of professionalism that we ourselves would exhibit, especially based on her experience, based on what type of nurse she was. Like maybe she has the credentials behind it and said that, but maybe she hasn't worked as a nurse. I know a nurse that's working in an ER right now who for several years worked in hospice, where they did not do CPR in certain situations, and then she worked in the deli at a grocery store, and now she's working in the ER. So I mean, we don't know you get these credentials, but it's up to you to maintain your professionalism.
But Jesse, but you're still saying that's how we feel, but that's not how it's going to be in court if that's something that happened. Because even if whatever they did that night before, no matter that night before, that day, if she was under any influence, you still shouldn't be telling anybody you are a nurse. And
that's why I think she panicked. That's why I really think that she panicked, because I don't think anybody in their right mind, if you were absolutely innocent and didn't do anything illegal or like cheeky like the night before, you know better than to say that you're a nurse. That's why it sounds like she's almost trying to convince herself, like, I'm a nurse, like I should know what to do, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I do know that this man is not okay. Like that's the vibe that I'm getting from the video.
The
like,
vibe,
I don't know.
I don't believe her. I don't. And I try and I listen to it. Like I said, I was feeling how y'all were, but it's just steps. And everybody needs to know that if you either know what you're gonna do, if you're gonna put yourself in that situation, just like Ann said, if it was her dad, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna get the people who can, because I can't think. So if that's the case, don't do it. Don't do it, because everybody's going to expect her conscience is not going to let her live because something happened, even if she had nothing to do and it was clearly all him, his health or whatever, but it still happened on her. You see what I'm saying? So either
Yeah.
way it goes, and if somebody like, and the EMS reports are different, the 911 is different. It's like kind of like, to me, if I was in that situation, no matter how scared I am, I'm going to get help. Then if you go past that, we get past that part. That's strike one. You get past that, then you know how Black people, white people turn blue quick.
Yeah.
Dark skinned people don't do that. We don't do that. Will we see, if you've ever seen somebody really dark die, like even in their moments, like we've all seen that. They, Black people can maintain their color. That's why we look so good in our caskets. No offense. And I'm just saying we can stay out longer because our skin. But I just don't agree. And I just really, really hope, and I don't want to like be taking another nurse under. So I'll just be quiet, but I just don't. I don't agree. And when she said, or maybe the media can fool you when they said that she was doing CPR, like that's hard. That's hard work. CPR by yourself. Otherwise, when we have a team, we switch out 2 minutes, right?
Right.
Sometimes, if it's a big person dependent, you can't even make it through that. You need help. How is this girl doing CPR for the whole time, and you don't hear her or him breathing? So what I'm saying is, why put yourself in that situation? So she could either something probably already happened, and now you're calling, and now you do the stop, but I'm not an investigator. But my whole thing still too is never tell somebody that you are a nurse, because now they're going to look at everything that you did.
Right. Yeah.
So
she would have been better off saying like I'm like an escort, and then nobody would have held her responsible for anything. Like it is a first of all, it is a very bad time to be a nurse. It's a bad time. Like we are watching what's going on in the media, not saying that people aren't responsible for their actions, but like these hospitals and these groups, they will protect their physicians and their higher levels, but nurses are, because we're so expendable to them, they're not going to stand beside you, and you need to be able to protect yourself from the very beginning. Like the statistics even behind like ER nursing is that as a new grad or as a new nurse in the ED, within the first 3 to 5 years, you're liable to be sued, and your license come into question. I don't know about any other professions because I've not, or any other specialties rather, because I haven't been in any other specialties, but like in the ER, you are in the very best of circumstances. You have all the equipment that you need. You have all the extra hands on deck. You've got the providers there and everything, and you are still liable to be sued. You have no idea that you should come out of school if you start in an ED and know that once you tell a provider a troponin level that you need to go and chart, that you just told him and that you did not receive any new orders. Or that if somebody is having chest pain suddenly, that you told someone and that no EKG was recommended. Like no one teaches you to do these things. You typically end up in a bad situation first before you learn how to protect yourself. And I think for this young lady, again, without having any of the information there, like she sounds not very, like she sounds like she's panicked. So I'm going to give her that. But all of us have worked with a stupid nurse before. Like where you're looking at them and you're like, how are you in the same situation? Like, how are you in the same profession that I am in, and you do not know what to do? Like the test is not that difficult to pass.
Also, I thought like with the Good Samaritan law, at least with medical professional people, that as long as you have, like, it's a duty to report.
Right.
And one of the comments, it said like she called 911, so that's getting help, and that's correct. And like, for example, if you're driving on the highway and you see a crash, but you don't feel safe enough to stop and like pull over because a continual car crash or whatever, it's not seen safe. I think the minimum that you have to do and should do is call 911 and report it, like that reporting rule, I guess. Now, I don't know if that's a hard set rule or not, but I mean, she did take that step and call 911. Now, I don't know why it took her 8 minutes to give her or give the address.
Right.
I don't understand that part. And again, that's something that we might never know unless we see a tape of everything happening. But I mean, she at least called and did and like got help on the way, and that's the first step, because she could have not called and then prolonged and caused more damage, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. I get it, but y'all know I just really feel that it's something that could have been done, because when EMS got there, they got him back for a short time. So for them to get there after the whatever rat race they got in to get to his apartment, whenever they found it, you know,
Yeah.
they got him back. He didn't die, but you know, you need the oxygen. You need is something that you could have
Or Narcan.
Or Narcan.
We do
Exactly.
not have all the details,
But you have to
right?
think he doesn't have an IV, you know, but we don't have all the details. We'll see when that report comes out. We'll see when that report comes out. And you know, I'll just leave it at that. So when the report comes out, I don't want it to be on her. I just need all nurses to fully understand, if you're going to put yourself in the position, then you need to understand what's going to come with it.
Right.
You know, you might have some people on the nursing board, they may be like you two, and y'all are, you know, she did her best, but then you might come across somebody like me, and I'm going to be like, no, this is the protocol. You should have did this. You should have went to the door. You should have, like, if you're in a $1 million apartment complex where they're talking about Oprah, it got to be somebody there who can hear you. The neighbors were saying that they, you know, he has a girlfriend that's obsessive, you know, so they're nosy. Why weren't you nosy today? You know what I mean? Why come you were not nosy enough to get the guy some help? And I just really feel like he could still be here. I don't know, like you say, and I could be just really taking it out of context. And y'all haven't heard the whole 911. Well, I'm sure you have, Phoenix. I know Ian probably has not. But
I've heard bits and pieces. I haven't heard the thing in its entirety, but also
yeah,
I've worked with you before, and I have seen how your experience and your professionalism has helped you, and I just, man, what a lesson to learn if she is a newer nurse. You know what I mean?
2 years. It's less than 2 years. I looked her up. Yeah, it's 2 years, and now everybody knows all her information. You know,
that's the worst.
That's even worse, because even when this goes, it'll go away. It'll go away. But you know that the nursing boards have this information. You know that, you know, when you go apply for a job, you're always going to have that on you, because she's not going to come out looking like a hero. Because even if you go to whatever unit you go to, it's still something that's going to be on you. It's going to be marked.
So then we go back to the okay, if you are a comedian or a baker or a hairdresser, when you walk out of your facility, how long are you clocked in? Like how long? So when you get home, like for me, I've been in situations where I've seen things happen to people, and like let's say that I've been out to dinner or something, and I've had like a couple of glasses of wine or whatever. Maybe the only thing that I'm gonna do is call 911.
That's what you need to do. I asked her that directly. I talked to the Tennessee Board of Nursing today.
Yeah.
Before this, I asked her, I said, so, you know, she's, you know, the notable, the thing by God, this is what you should do. This is your duty. You know, we take that oath. This is your duty. However, we have exemptions. You know, we are off work and we just want to help. All that's cool. We have immunity to that. But soon as you are in error, because, you know, we can't get a DUI. We can't, you know, we can drink, but we can't have our clothes on, our scrubs or anything like that. You know, it's the way that we are looked at.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't help when you are out of order. So she shouldn't have. My whole thing is, for her sake, it's almost like it's you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Because now it's looking like you committed a whole thing, even if you did or you didn't. But you should have just not said anything. You should have just called 911 and been done in that, in this instance, if if they were doing whatever the night before.